Nutrition Made Simple just posted a What I Eat in a Day video. I am so excited for this. Nutrition Made Simple is one of my favorite nutrition slash health focused channels, or really resources in general. I think they have a team of people involved, but Dr. Gil Carvalho is just great. He cares about evidence-based nutrition, and he is vegan. I don't think he ever talks about veganism on the channel. It's not a channel for vegans. It's a channel for everyone. It's just overall health and nutrition.
There's a lot of different ways to eat a healthy diet, depending on your specific goals. Plenty of options. This is just how I do it. So most days my breakfast is oats with some fruit. I don't even add milk anymore. I lost the habit. Cow milk or plant milk, neither one. I just add water and cook it like that. I got used to doing it that way and I like it. So I just stopped buying milk of any kind years ago.
Man, that's so much cheaper too. I buy, oh God, do I even want to say 8 half gallons of soy milk every week. I have 3 children, to be clear, but yeah, it adds up.
This breakfast is a really good fit for me. The health data looks good. I like it, and I find it very satiating. But obviously for people who don't like it or who have different dietary limitations, lots of other breakfast options out there.
Just oats and fruit. I have to say, I don't think I'd be happy with that. I assume he has some like flavoring in there, at least some cinnamon or something. That's honestly why I hate making oatmeal. I just have to add so many things. Like, it's still really quick, but just getting out the flax and the cinnamon and the protein powder and the oats, a little bit of salt, banana on top. Ooh, I've been doing this hemp granola on top. Oh, it's so good. It adds the perfect amount of crunch and a little bit more sweetness. It's so good.
Let's look at the regular meals throughout the day. This is one example. This is a seafood rice with wild rice, mussels, clams, and some avocado. And I had this last night. And honestly, this was delicious. I even had seconds. I know people focus a lot on these labels. Is it low fat? Is it paleo? Is it vegan? Is it low carb? Honestly, my diet doesn't entirely fit any of those labels. And I never think about those. I never wonder about these words or these categories. I just try to eat a healthy diet that fits my goals, which are basically 2. The first goal is we have a couple genetic risk factors that run in my family: high LPA and this kidney disease called polycystic kidney. So both of those are genetically determined. They're both risk factors for heart disease later in life. So the strategy is to get all of the lifestyle and the key parameters really dialed in. So the blood pressure, not smoking, fasting glucose, ApoB, physical activity. So I've played around and I can control those better with my diet. So that's my personal strategy. But most people probably don't need to be as strict as I am. And then the second goal is environmental impact. I try to minimize my carbon footprint in general. And so the diet is also aiming for that.
Very interesting. Well, first, I was going to say I figured the lunch would be higher in protein, given the breakfast was just oats and fruit, not a whole lot of protein there. But I did not anticipate mussel and clams. Mussels and clams are certainly better for the environment than most, if not all, other meat and animal products. And certainly if you're going to eat animals, oysters, clams, mussels are pretty far down on the totem pole. Like, I would say that's what you would want to turn to if you are concerned about animal welfare. Bivalves are very likely not sentient. They're also healthier than most animal products since they're really low in cholesterol and saturated fat. So again, that's the other reason he's choosing them, I assume. I wish more people who didn't want to go vegan or wanted to do plant-based and still eat meat, or ex-vegans, people who go back to eating meat, I wish they would choose oysters instead of beef and chicken.
Okay, here's another meal example. This is a bean curry with some quinoa that I also had yesterday. That curry is a good example of kind of the basic structure of my meals. There's usually a legume at the core, like a lentil or a bean or something like that. And then sometimes a little bit of a whole grain, sometimes not, sometimes some vegetables.
I would love to see more vegans do that. I think most vegans do the opposite, where they have more of the whole grain and less of the legumes, the higher protein source. Yeah, I really think we need to switch that around. Not only would you be getting more protein, but you're more likely than not getting more iron, getting more zinc. So he says he eats olive oil. He's in Portugal, so it's actually cheap there. Man, jealous. But he also has canola oil. Sometimes he'll switch it up and use that, like on salad.
Sometimes people are surprised to hear canola oil because of all the scary things they hear on the internet. But we have a whole video going over the science on canola systematically for people who are interested. It was actually after researching it for that video in part that I bought this bottle because I kept seeing benefit after benefit in the data. It was pretty impressive, so I decided to add it to my diet.
That is awesome. You go to research a myth and you end up with the opposite conclusion to the point where it actually like changes your lifestyle or you change your lifestyle as a result. That's fun.
I don't really add salt to my foods. I lost a habit a while back and I
Wow.
don't even notice it anymore. We have a potassium salt. Sometimes I add that to salads. Sometimes I just forget because I don't have the habit anymore of feeling that salty taste. This way,
Wow.
I'm able to keep my blood pressure where I want it, usually around 110/60 ballpark. But of course, this varies a lot from person to person. Some people can tolerate a lot of salt and still have great blood pressure. Others are really strict and still have high blood pressure. So as always, it varies.
My blood pressure is always great and I eat probably more salt than I should. Partner actually uses the light salt, but no, man. I go hard. I go hard on salt. I will make the saltiest soup in the world and I go to reheat it and eat and I'm like, it needs more. I know it doesn't, but it needs more. I've always been that way. I've always loved sweets and salty foods. When you'd get fries and there'd be all the salt in the bottom of the bag, I would eat the salt. I would just eat it. It was fantastic. I'm not convinced that we all need to eat super, super low salt. My blood pressure is definitely something I'll be monitoring more frequently as I get older. And yeah, if it becomes a problem, I will certainly be reducing my salt intake. But yeah, like I said, this is way more hardcore than I thought. Like not salting stuff. Now, does he mean like the curry? Is there no like salt in the curry at all?
Real quick, meat and eggs, because I know people are going to ask. I almost never eat them for the same reasons we already covered. Once in a blue moon, if somebody in my household, for example, is going to throw some away, they're not going to eat it anymore, I'll eat it instead. Or if we go to somebody's house and they serve something, I eat it. I don't push off the plate. But it happens maybe like once a year. Very sporadic.
I wish more people could do that. You know, I get so many messages and just everywhere you see people talking about either specific foods they don't want to give up or specific situations where they don't want to be vegan or they don't want to turn away food. And it's like, okay, then don't turn away food in those specific situations, you know? I mean, him eating meat or eggs once a year? Yeah, I wish everyone could have that mentality, but it's really hard for people not to do the all or nothing. But also, he said he's not any label, so he's not vegan.
Eggs, for example, vary a ton depending on the person, depending on genetics. Some people can eat a boatload of eggs and their lipids don't go up. Other people, they jump up a lot. I'm somewhere in the middle. They do go up some. So I just avoid it.
I mean, I wish eggs had that effect on everyone and maybe people would stop eating eggs. But yeah, unfortunately, there are people who can eat a ton of eggs, a ton of saturated fat in general, and their cholesterol's still fine.
Main snack between meals for me is fruit. We always have a lot of fresh fruit at the house.
They look like they're just laid out on the counter. Here's the fruit.
Nuts is another common one. Walnuts. Pistachios are some of my favorites. What else? Cheese sandwich, peanut butter sandwich, yogurt, dried fruit.
Fruit and nuts are really the ultimate snack. We have leftover Halloween candy, so it's Halloween candy for the foreseeable future.
I don't eat a ton of bread, but we try to get higher quality breads when we get it. So not that paper white sliced bread that doesn't look like food.
We go through a lot of bread. I really don't eat a lot of bread, but my 8-year-old My 8-year-old loves sandwiches, peanut butter jelly, Vegenaise, and the Tofurkey slices, and the Violife cheese. They love toast in the morning with peanut butter and banana on top, sometimes jelly, sometimes chocolate chips. We go through a lot of bread. Not the white bread, though. My kids have never had, I've made like sourdough bread, but they've never had the sliced Wonder Bread or whatever. I don't even remember the last time I had bread like that. Probably when I was a kid. I started eating whole wheat bread, I think when I was a teenager, and that was pretty much it.
Candy, cookies, pastries, things like that. I really don't have that very often. I'm being honest, I would tell you if I did. And the way I do it is I just don't have it at the house for the most part. Don't buy it, don't bring it home. It's the best way to keep it out of my hands at least. Once in a blue moon, if I feel like having a cookie, I'll have one, but it's not common. Maybe once every other couple months or something like that.
Yeah, me too. We have leftover Halloween candy, so it's Halloween candy. Yeah, that's where I really scoff at the intuitive eating stuff. Every time I hear tips from people who are really healthy and regularly eat healthy foods and regularly eat junk food, it's because they don't keep it in their house. We have evolved to crave those foods, and while there are some of us who can have it in the house and just avoid it, a lot of us can't. Like, they call to us. They're just so yummy. They're made to be so yummy.
I drink a lot of water because of that kidney thing. I'm always carrying my water bottle around. So I drink about 4 liters of water daily, sometimes a little bit more. I don't drink coffee, just never had that habit. But the health data on coffee looks good for most people.
I have 1, sometimes 2 cups of coffee a day. I go back and forth. Right now, I'm only having 1 in the morning after I work out.
I really don't think about macros when it's time to eat. How much fat is in my food, how much carb is in my food. It doesn't occur to me. I just don't care. I try to eat healthy foods, and that's about it. I do try to have a protein source in most meals, like the legumes that I talked about. And then on days that I go to the gym to lift weights, which is most days, I have a protein shake.
Yeah, I don't focus on carbs and fat, just protein. Like he said, I try to have some sort of protein source at every meal. And as long as you're doing that, you shouldn't have to think about protein. Unless you're really trying to gain a lot of muscle or you're actually competing or something, then, you'd want to dial in your protein, really make sure you're hitting your target. But for the vast majority of us, just make sure you have a protein source at every meal.
I really don't worry about eating times too much. I don't even have these standard meals, the lunch and the dinner most of the time. I eat when I'm hungry. Sometimes it's odd hours. I do try to not stuff myself or eat a lot of snacks late at night.
Actually, I've been doing better with the not eating at night. Yeah, last night I had dinner. I wasn't even that hungry, so I just had 1 taco. And that was around 6. I don't think I ate anything else after that. No wonder I've been losing weight. But yeah, the eating when you're hungry thing, that I've had trouble with just from a family perspective. You're supposed to have dinner, sit down at the table. I'm not always hungry when the kids are. When I've made dinner and they're eating, I'm not always hungry. Partner's often, doing stuff on the house. He can't eat right that minute. So yeah, it's like, I want to encourage my kids to eat when they're hungry, and I want to not force myself to eat just because it's dinner time, But yeah, it would be nice to like sit down with them and have dinner. Not that I grew up with that. We very rarely ate dinner together, but we didn't suffer for that. We're still close. So yeah, it probably doesn't matter. I'm just talking this through for myself. Okay, I'm just going to eat when I'm hungry and not eat when I'm not hungry. Okay.
We have a lot of videos on fasting, and I haven't really seen any compelling evidence that fasting offers any unique benefits above and beyond just the calories and the quality of foods. So I don't really bother with it. I know fasting works well for a number of people who like it, like to integrate it. Great.
I've used fasting in the past. I lost a bunch of weight years ago actually doing I forgot what it was called, but it was essentially intermittent fasting, but it was 1 or 2 days a week. And I started with 2 days a week, not eating. After a few days of that, I dropped to 1 day a week. That was very effective. I've also done the, not eating till like 1 o'clock or so. That's been effective as well. And also in the past, I would just regularly not eat till like 1 o'clock. I mean, you guys probably remember my What I Ate Todays where I was like, I forgot to eat and it's like 4. I don't do that anymore at all. That's so interesting. Oh, what am I talking about? It's 11:30. I haven't had breakfast. Oh, I'm an idiot. I had coffee. That's all I've had. Do I just not pay attention at all? I wasn't hungry yet after I dropped the kids off, so I didn't want to just shove food in my face because I worked out this morning. I need to eat. And then I got ready to record and then recording, and now somehow it's 11:30 and I haven't had breakfast. Okay.
On this question of organic or not, I don't really worry about it. I've looked at the evidence on organic. We have at least one video on it. I haven't really seen any compelling evidence that organic is any healthier. So I get conventionally raised produce most of the time, but happy to revisit that and change that strategy in the future if the data changes.
Yeah, organic matters more for, number one, the methods that are used in terms of soil, like no-till, and organic doesn't require no-till, and the workers, right? The people who are regularly coming into contact with large quantities of pesticides. But again, organic doesn't necessarily mean that the natural pesticide being used is okay for us.
I have a B12 that I take once a week, 2,000 micrograms. I have a vitamin D in drops. I take 1 drop a day, and that contains 2,000 international units. I have an omega-3 from algae, 800 milligrams of DHA. And the last one is iodine, 400 micrograms. And by the way, I don't sell supplements. I don't accept any sponsors. I don't have deals with any supplement company, so I don't really care which brands.
It's another reason I really like this channel. They don't do sponsorships. He's not trying to sell you anything. I don't even think he has a book. But yeah, for a plant-based diet, which I would say his is, it's mostly plants. Yeah, B12, vitamin D, DHA, iodine. Yeah. Vegans might benefit from zinc if they're not eating a good amount of legumes. But again, like, you gotta eat your protein. I prefer to just take a multi. I take my multi and my separate DHA.
And I do have seafood. Sometimes I had some yesterday, for example, but I don't want to have to worry constantly. Did I have enough vitamin D yesterday? And doing the math every day, it's a drag. So I just take these supplements. They take care of it.
It's interesting he didn't talk about calcium at all. I meant to mention that earlier when he talked about not adding any milks to his oatmeal. I figured he would have some calcium source, later in the day. He did say sometimes for snacks he'll have yogurt or cheese. But again, that didn't sound like a daily thing. So yeah, that's the one question I have is how much calcium he's regularly getting. Maybe he's eating more dairy products and getting it from that, or he's usually eating a lot of, dark leafy greens. I know for me, I would not get enough calcium without a calcium fortified plant milk.
That's it. That's a typical day of my diet and supplementation. I'm not married to any of this. I constantly tweak as new evidence comes out. But this is kind of my current strategy based on everything I've seen.
It's cool to see What I Ate Today from someone who's been eating a certain way for so long. Like, I wish we had more of those. So many of the What I Eat in the Days are like people trying to get healthy, or like the aspirational ones where you go like, did you really eat that? Like, this one reads as genuine, and it reads as like, yeah, he's been eating this way for years. I've been eating vegan for years, but I don't know. I eat a lot of weird stuff. What am I trying to say? It's cool when, certain people, they're very like regimented. Is that the word? They're very structured with what they eat. I know he says this is a typical day and days are different, but they know what they like and they just try to make it as easy as possible with the batch cooking and stuff.
We batch cook twice a week, so we always have a few dishes ready in the fridge. So all we got to do is pick something, mix and match, plate, and eat.
I like hearing from those people because I'm not that. I wish I could be that way with food, but with my weird pickiness and food aversion stuff, I'll love something and then I hate it. So yeah, that was great. It's great to see a doctor talk about the environment when it comes to diet, and that's one of his main reasons for eating what he does. Like, that's great. I think we need more of that. I don't think you can have a good diet if it's full of meat. Even if you don't have cholesterol issues, it's not healthy for everyone else. It's not healthy for the planet. It's not a good diet. And for the animals as well. I know he didn't talk about animal welfare, but certainly this diet is so much better for the animals than your standard American diet. The mussels and clams, meat once a year. I think he said like cheese and yogurt for snacks. Unfortunately, videos like these just aren't going to reach as many people because, well, number one, he's not a beautiful skinny lady. Not that he's not beautiful, but you know what I mean. But also it's just boring, you know? Where's the music? Where's the goofy, royalty-free, feel-good music? But yeah, oats and fruit for breakfast, like nobody wants to see that. Eating basically the same boring meals all the time. People don't want to hear that. That's not fun. I've seen so many good vegan what I eat in a days. I just did that one looking at YouTubers, and then I did another one looking at TikTokers, and the vast majority, I think, were great with lots of protein. Again, I know this isn't vegan, but plant-based. Anyway, I would love to know your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. Please do like and subscribe and consider supporting the channel. Thank you so much to those who do, my members and my patrons at patreon.com/unnaturalvegan. I do post 2 exclusive videos a month for tier 2 members and patrons, a vlog and a controversial video. Anyway, that's it for me. New video soon. What did it say for iodine? Am I crazy?
And the last one is iodine, 400 micrograms.
That's a lot, right? Isn't the RDA 150? Iodine's one you really don't want to get too much of. I feel like that's at or close to the upper, maybe above? Oh, it's way higher than that. Okay, the tolerable upper intake for adults, 900 micrograms. 19 plus 1,100 micrograms. So yeah, that's fine. I don't know why he would take that much.